I mean, at the start of this week, what we knew as Zain Kenya is now Airtel Kenya. I mean, what's being done to give the company a fresh image, because it's coming at a 12 billion shilling cost, this rebranding exercise?
Yeah, sure. There is a huge cost attached to this, no doubt about it. But if it's for the betterment of the industry and the consumer gets the benefit of the lot, I think it's fair enough. And a brand change or a brand name change has really not affected the telecom sector in India, where Max Touch turned into Orange, into Hutch, into Vodafone. Nothing actually affected. They just kept growing. Yeah. So I really don't think KenCell to Celtel to Zain to Airtel is going to be of a huge impact in that sense. Yeah, it is not going to be a downer in any sense. As long as the provider is good enough, they provide the best for the consumer, and I think it's fair. It's fine. It's
but you know, Porus, many experts would disagree with that view. They say that since 2004, there have been 4 now major metamorphoses for this particular brand. It's created a sense of brand instability. It's affected customer loyalty because they don't really know what they're dealing with. And consequently, it reflects in the numbers. The market leader, Safaricom, has a subscriber base over 12 million. Zain, which is the second largest player in the economy, only managed to capture about 2 million. And many people say it has a lot to do with the branding issue.
I really don't think it's too much of the branding issue as much as it's about monopoly. In Kenya, we are a little used to actually seeing brands that monopolize the industry. You know, we have various examples in Kenya, and I think that's the only thing. If there is a provider that's going to get you better service, better communication, better reach, I see no reason why a rebranding will affect the industry at all.
Let's talk about the strategy of this company, Airtel Kenya, to regain market share from the market leader, Safaricom, and break its stranglehold as the monopoly player in the sector. What are they going to do?
Yeah, from what I read and what I understand from the industry is that they are trying to penetrate the rurals. Yeah. Now, rural penetration of telecom in Kenya has been really minimal, primarily because of the affordability factor. The strategy that Zain, which is now Airtel, has been same in India. They want to penetrate the rural, and that's where the next generation of consumer lies, right. And that's exactly what their plan is. I think that's how it is going to be.
Okay, yeah? I'm going to bring our guest host into this conversation in terms of the approach of Bharti Airtel taking over Zain, and how they're going to operate Ulrich in Kenya. The strategy is low margins, high volumes, invest heavily in infrastructure, in rural telephony, focus on the numbers, and then you'll be able to make money. Is that a strategy that works in Africa, do you think?
I suppose so, yes, but it's still strange to me that you spend so much money on rebranding the company instead of spending that on, you know, putting out the infrastructure and going out there and really enticing the consumer out there to come to your company and to avail them of your services. So that's a strange approach for me, but I suppose that if we look at Africa, yes, you know, given the specific infrastructure in Africa, I think that the mobile industry is actually the industry to go for.
Okay, just getting your views on this one, Porus, this whole idea of low margins, high volumes, and also, of course, the cheaper tariffs that we've seen them introduced prior to this. Some people say it works in India because there you've got a critical mass of almost 1 billion people. Here, it's a fragmented market. The entire Africa has less than 1 billion people, and that's a continent of 53 countries. So trying to get those numbers in one country-specific situation is going to be a challenge.
It sure is going to be a challenge, but which market has ever rejected a low tariff and high volume business? I don't think that's it's a tried and tested and trusted formula that has worked and will always work. My contention to the whole thing is that there will be a point where everything will come down to parity, which is where we are headed, and we are almost there. That's where rebranding or brand positioning is going to make all the difference, and it's not about the cost, because cost is going to be the same. Yeah, all the providers are going to give you the same cost. So that's where all this is headed. Right. That's what I think.
Let's talk about product development, please, Porus. It's reported that in terms of the product offerings by Airtel Kenya, there's a bundled package which includes a Nokia handset, a SIM card, and then free airtime, all valued around 1,800 shillings. Are they thinking creatively enough in terms of capturing the untapped market?
Absolutely. I think it's a fabulous offer. 1,800 shillings for the rural. It's a bit on the higher side, but it's much better than what they have today. So 1,800, I think, is going to attract a sizable population of the peri-urban and the rural market. Definitely, I think so. Yeah.
And then in terms of what the regulator has done in trying to level the playing field to break that monopoly you referred to, they've done a variety of things such as reducing the fees for 3G licensing, forcing all operators to cut their interconnect fees, trying to introduce some regulations in terms of acquisitions and bigger players buying out smaller players in the market. How can Airtel capitalize on some of these regulatory changes?
Frankly, I wouldn't know exactly how Airtel is going to play this game, but what my feeling is that today call is the king, which is talking, yeah. But as we have seen in the recent past, the talk value of telecom industry is coming down, and the internet is going up. Although Airtel is trying to get it from 50 minutes per month, which is the average talk time for a Kenyan, to 300 minutes per month, it's also on the other side, the 3G is going to help a lot, because internet is going to take off in a big way, and particularly in the urban markets. Yes, definitely.
Okay, you talk about 3G and internet, and this raises the whole question of data services and how you leverage yourself in this space. Has Airtel given any indication as to what they're going to do in terms of internet penetration and trying to synergize data services on the mobile phone?
Actually, this is where Airtel will try and target the youth and the young at heart. Yeah, let me put it this way. That's where the highest potential of a 3G and an internet lies. And I think that's where they will try to increase the usage, you know, more than talk. Talk is more for the rural and peri-urban areas, yeah.
Okay, let's get your views here, Ulrich. Kenya is a fairly vibrant and dynamic market. The local market is said to be growing at a rate of something like 42%. The industry is expected to be worth $1.9 billion by the year 2013. So if you look at Kenya as a prototype for what's happening in East Africa, then certainly telecoms is the way to go. But you look at Telkom, for instance, which just released their results. You look at them launching ATA, a mobile service, and the challenges of just entering the Pan-African market with multi-links in Nigeria. And it's not so easy for somebody to come into this space. I mean, Bharti Airtel has come into 15 African countries, focusing on Kenya at the moment, but they've also got to rebrand and reorganize in 14 other markets. Is it just going to be a smooth sailing for them?
I think it's going to be difficult, and I think it's so important to get the mass numbers of subscribers to your service. At the same time, I think that if we look at Africa in general, you know, one must be very aware of the cost to the subscriber, and therefore I think it's so important for all of these companies to control their costs so that they can provide a service which is affordable. And we know that telecommunication is, it's a growing industry, and therefore I think there are so many opportunities, especially in Africa, for the mobile industry. But I think at the same time, I come back to the fact that I think you have to provide a service which is affordable, and therefore your cost structure must be under control.
Porus, a final question to you. As I said, Bharti's acquired the African assets of Zain. That's in 15 countries. They've got to focus on other countries after Kenya. Are they going to be applying a one-size-fits-all approach, such as what they're doing in Kenya? Or have they taken a segmented approach to each and every other country that they're going into, and going to just size it up according to the situation they find there?
It of course depends on the market dynamics, if you ask me. I don't know exactly what Airtel is planning. Is it going to be a one-size-fits-all approach, or is it going to be segmented to the region, to the country? I'm not in a capacity to answer that question, but definitely Airtel, if they have to make inroads, they have to take the sentiments and the cultural differences and address that. And definitely the product is going to be the king, and the consumer decides whether it works or not. Yeah.
All right, Porus Jose, the Creative Director Express DDB Kenya, thanks very much for coming through.